This movie is based on the best-selling book called What to Expect When You're Expecting.
97% of literate women in the US buy this book within weeks of becoming pregnant.
I picked up the book, and I saw this little banner on the top right-hand corner that said over 16 million copies sold. And I went, oh yeah, that's a movie.
Sort of one of those books that have been around, sort of like Sherlock Holmes or Great Expectations.
My wife absolutely referred to the book all the time, and still does.
And I felt like Rain Man about it. The first time I was pregnant, I was week 7, we're gonna read.
The one thing you find out quickly is that pregnancy is not something you can predict. And the one thing you can predict with even less certainty than pregnancy is a baby. You're gonna just have to go with the flow. And the pee in your pants. I got pregnant, and it was an oops kind of pregnancy, as in, you know, I got married 3 months later. Oops, I was pregnant.
Let's hope she's not pregnant, folks.
And I was completely clueless, I think, like every first-time mom. I couldn't find the answers to my questions. I couldn't find the reassurance that I was searching for, that I was craving, the hand-holding. And so it was like expectant motherhood was the mother of invention. And completely true story. 2 hours before I went into labor with Emma, I delivered the proposal for What to Expect When You're Expecting.
I had heard about What to Expect When You're Expecting because all of my friends read it with their pregnancies, and I feel like I can quote passages of the book without having read it.
My oldest daughter is 9, and my wife still has this book on her nightstand.
I wanted to answer my questions, but every pregnancy is different. Every pregnant woman is different. Every expectant father is different. Every baby is different. Because every pregnancy is different, I had to turn to other moms and find out what their concerns were.
It's so unusual and strange to have your body change so quickly and think that there's actually a brain being developed inside of you. It's just a very terrifying idea.
First thing that we had to do was go right to the source. We typed up questionnaires and put them in OB offices. Just for a little bit of perspective, when I was doing the 4th edition of What to Expect, or What to Expect the second year, What to Expect Before You're Expecting, I turned to the website, and all of a sudden I had, you know, millions of moms who could tell me exactly what they wanted to know.
And there's really no greater story or more common story that connects us all than this one of birth.
We do have this emotional connection between us. As different as our pregnancy experiences are, there's so much that we share. That's sort of the theme of What to Expect, is that we're all in this together.
You just never know what to expect. You know, you really, really don't.
The things that you have to know as a mom, it's like when to start letting the child like lick their own feet so they know what their feet are. Like these weird things that you would never know.
And the reaction to What to Expect when it first came out was somewhat pathetic. And what happened was sort of a phenomenon that I call word of mom, where one mom would happen upon the book in a store, the one copy, and then tell another mom, and the bookstore would suddenly order 2 books and then 3 books, but it took years.
We talked about this book as something that perhaps might be worth seeing if we could try and put together.
I read What to Expect When You're Expecting. It's not like a big comedy, and I think Heidi even knows that.
No one wanted to see a movie about mucus plugs or, you know, leaking boobs. So it was really wide open what you wanted to do.
We had been approached several times in the past about turning What to Expect into a movie. And every time my reaction was, oh, come on, seriously? Because turning a how-to guide about pregnancy with one character, you know, the only character in What to Expect is you, the pregnant reader. It seemed really, really random.
Once we realized we sort of tonally wanted a kind of a Richard Curtis movie with a Love Actually with a big ensemble, there's so many opportunities, there's so many different stories to tell with pregnancy.
What we wanted to make sure we were doing was taking elements from the book that could be used for humor, and where we were referencing symptoms, that they were accurate and factual.
You pee on a stick, it's idiot-proof.
When I first heard that the script was coming to me, I wasn't sure, you know, what the book was. I didn't have the book myself, so I ordered the book And my wife was very suspicious because we've got 3 children, and suddenly I'm ordering a book about what to do when you're pregnant. And she said, I thought we'd agreed that we weren't going to have any more kids. But I looked through the book and I began to identify the potential of a film which dealt with the emotion of couples experiencing pregnancy and also the humor.
Wendy, I think, is sort of that quintessential in-control woman in her non-pregnant life. And then she pees on a stick. And then she finds out that all the rules change.
You want to cover all the things of all the changes of pregnancy, and there's so many different milestones. And one of the first things you get before you have a belly or anything else is boobs.
Okay, but did you get my rack? Because I'm gonna need evidence that I had these.
It's definitely an interesting moment when you suddenly have this rack, and it's kind of fun. And then by the end of the pregnancy, of course, you're like, are these things ever gonna stop growing?
When Wendy takes off her bra, it's not sexy at all. It's the opposite of sexy in that she's removing what I would call her prison clothes. It's a piece of fugly fabric wrapped around these giant boobs to try and contain them, but really they're uncontainable. It's like I could fit 20 of my old bras into this one giant piece of granny spandex that's just, oh.
You know, when the pregnancy happens, you're sort of a little bit along for the ride, meaning that you're excited, like, hey, we're gonna have a kid, that's so neat. And then things just keep happening every day.
I'm not circumcising my baby. Well done.
So you're just trying to make the ship stay above water.
It's really hard to gain 35 pounds in less than a year. It's really hard to waddle around. It's really hard when I sneeze, I peed my pants.
I just peed myself.
That's natural.
It's not the most beautiful thing ever.
At this point in the pregnancy, acne and bleeding gums, constipation, it's all totally normal.
Just imagine carrying a 7-pound ham around for 9 months. Forget it even being in your body. Just have a bag with a ham in it that you can't put down. And you gotta sleep with the ham. And you gotta swim with the ham. And you gotta take a bath with the ham. No matter where you go, you gotta carry this ham.
Sounds preggerific.
You just want to be part of any solutions. You don't want to be part of any problems. And since you're not doing any of it, you're literally much more likely to be part of a problem.
Some women do have great pregnancies, but like sister tell another sister that you're having a hard time, so I could know that, you know, I'm not alone on this like island of miserable sadness.
I need support! I was really excited about Skylar because it's a very comedic part. I mean, this character is so over the top.
I feel like I'm setting a really bad example for myself because this is like the sexiest pregnant belly I've ever seen. And I for sure will not look like this when I'm pregnant. All this. This is not how pregnancy looks, people. Don't get too excited.
Being that I've never carried a child or haven't yet, I am looking at these pictures of myself with a belly and I'm like, that doesn't look too bad. And then I remember, it's just me, not a pound gain, with a fake belly that's been like bronzed and toned and tanned and perfectly sculpted to my body. And I'm setting such an unrealistic standard for myself and for every other woman out there that I just have to tell all the women that it is fake, it is made up, and I hate Skylar too.
I had a magical pregnancy unicorn moment when I was about 9 months pregnant and at my Lamaze class, and it was like a turtle flopping on the ground and could barely get up, and this beautiful, super thin model type came strutting into Lamaze class as though it were a runway, and I just realized those women do exist, and they're like little beacons of perfection.
She is the pregnant woman that we all love to hate, who fortunately you don't see a lot of in real life.
That's great. To your
Can we hurry
right.
this up? He's pushing on my bladder.
Right.
I love Cameron. She didn't want to act pregnant. She really, really wanted to know what it was like to be pregnant.
Okay, there's breastfeeding. We have to know about this. Cord blood banking, this is very important these days. And you need to learn the Bradley method.
And the first time I met her, she had just been fitted for a prosthetic belly and prosthetic breasts, and she opened up her robe and flashed me, and it was just so, she was so proud.
It's amazing. You have this little round bump on you, and it's in front of you, and you just constantly, the whole day, you can't stop touching it. It's also a very good armrest. You do find yourself sort of like, you know, out throughout the day, you just kind of, a couple of times I tried to put my drink on it, didn't work.
She spent hours talking to the midwife consultant, Julie, and to me, asking every conceivable question.
You know, you have your dreams, and then when you get hit with something like, you know, a pregnancy and you're about to have a kid, it was really fun just going in your head and figuring out what is that like, how that changes everything. It changes the whole game for you.
Cameron's character, Jules, goes through preterm labor, and she wanted to know what was realistic, what was not realistic. In fact, her character was scheduled in the script to have an epidural. We get to the hospital scene. Cameron fights and won to have Jules do an unmedicated birth.
So do you want an epidural?
Hell no. Let's do this.
That's all right.
And she wanted to not just go the 9 months, she wanted to go the whole 9 yards. She wanted to have the birthing bar, and she wanted to be all sweaty and panting.
Push.
People adopt now, and I have friends who adopt, and I felt like it was really important to include that in a pregnancy story, that journey and waiting for a kid is just as valid as, like, you know, any other one we go through.
What it means is that you don't have the gradual transition from, you know, finding out you're pregnant, you know, you pee on a stick, then you've got 9 months to get used to the idea.
Let's go meet our son.
Adoption, in and of itself, is challenging, and especially an international adoption. And I'm not just talking about the logistics, which are complicated, and all the legal ramifications. And in the case of the baby that they end up adopting, he's played by twins who themselves were adopted just months before from Ethiopia. It made the whole scene and the whole setup so much more moving for me because I knew this incredible story.
Flash me the belly, I want to see it, come on.
I think that it was important to show pregnancy loss and how Chase becomes so attached to the idea of being a father just as he's about to lose that opportunity.
I really did want to write about miscarriage because I've had so many friends go through that.
Sort of blindsided with this, you know, she's kind of like, you know, what do you want to do? You know, what do we do now? And he's kind of like, well, I don't know, should we get married? You know, I don't know. He doesn't know what to do.
Miscarriage has a stigma attached to it in our society, and I think it's really lovely that we're sort of bringing it to light in a way and talking openly about it in the movie, presenting it realistically.
So important to show pregnancy loss because it's something that a lot of women go through. Probably most women have a miscarriage, whether they know about it or not, during their reproductive lifetimes. It seemed random at first to turn a pregnancy guide into a romantic comedy, but then what became really clear is that there is nothing more romantic than starting a family together. And at the same time, there's nothing potentially funnier than being pregnant.
Maybe I just peed myself because I'm pregnant. No. Huh.
You may not feel that in the moment when you're passing gas on the you know, the supermarket checkout line.
Sweet bird of paradise, what is that smell?
Or, you know, you're drooling in the middle of a big presentation. Maybe you don't think it's so funny at that moment, but it's funny.
I remember going to the hospital and about ready to deliver and kind of thinking suddenly like, oh, I've just gotten used to the whole idea of being pregnant. And then I was like, oh my God, there's gonna be a baby. There's gonna be a baby I have to take care of. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just got used to being pregnant. Now I have to take care of a kid. Like, I kind of forgot that part and had a little last minute panic.
Okay.
Oh, Gary, get me the juice. You never know what you're gonna get. It's so life-changing and it's just not what you'd ever expect.
I mean, I love being a dad. It's the best gig I've ever had. And there's really nothing anybody can do to prepare you.
The no sleeping part is honestly a bummer. The rest of it is so great.
Employ grandma. Employ grandma. It doesn't matter what your relationship is with your mother. Have her come visit you.
I'm gonna make a positivity sandwich. It's gonna be very fun. Rest up right now and travel right now because you will not be doing it for a really long time. It's gonna be really fun.